Hello everybody, this is John Felt. Welcome to the Ag Weather Outlook for December 12th, 2015. You know, it was a relatively quiet week last week compared to the prior week, but then it looks like this upcoming week is going to be fairly busy over parts of the Corn Belt. Now let's start off by taking a look at precipitation over the last week. You can see that the upper tier of the Midwest, from North Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, into parts of Michigan, were quite active with some snow, some lighter rain elsewhere, but overall it was fairly quiet. And you can see that on the percent of normal precipitation, either no shading at all, which indicates no precipitation, or these shades of yellow and red, which indicates below normal. So with the exception of this upper tier right in here, it was fairly quiet over the last week. Now some of that did come in the form of snow. Not necessarily a heavy snow like we saw the week before, but you can see that there was some snow over parts of the area, but not a whole lot. In fact, a little bit still remains on the ground in a very limited spot that's going to be gone very soon, probably today, but possibly replaced with some snow later this week. I'll be talking about that. Now, I've been really looking at temperatures, not just this week, but for quite some time, evaluating how we're going to go as we get into the brunt of winter. And last week was quite mild over many areas with above normal temperatures. Now the pattern that we've had this dip in the jet stream over the western U.S. and a ridge or a push north of the jet stream over the eastern U.S., and that corresponds to cooler weather over the west and warmer than normal weather over the east. So most of our Corn Belt has been in that milder weather. Now, when I see this type of pattern here, when I see a pattern of this dip in the jet stream over the western U.S. here, there's oftentimes little pockets of energy in here. And these pockets of energy are going to sort of erupt, or I should say eject up towards the northeast, and that usually gives us some chance of rain. And that is what we're going to see this week. Two systems, two little pockets of energy coming out of that and pushing up into the middle part of the nation. Now this first one you can already see is pulling a lot of deep moisture. This is a water vapor satellite picture. It measures the mid and upper level moisture. A lot of times on the TV news you hear the low level moisture, and that's very important. But when I'm looking for a widespread heavy rain, I'm looking at the entire atmosphere, the column of the atmosphere, the moisture. So the brighter shades of white indicate much higher values of moisture in the atmosphere, and it's an ingredient for more widespread rain. So this first system that's pushing through early this week, this weekend, into early this week, looks like a fairly wet system with this moisture coming in from the Pacific and coming well inland. And if you want some idea of the setup on Sunday, here we go. This is the frontal positions on Sunday, and you can see a very widespread shield of rain. That's that dark green, that's heavier rain across the middle part of the nation. So a very wet day on Sunday. And even in the cold air, there's some snow here. So they're going to be the first system moving through. There will be some snow. It'll be a very narrow band, but on the cold side of this system, there will be some snow. Now let's look a little bit later this week, towards the middle of the week, and I wanted to show you that we're going to have a fairly strong gradient of temperature. Over the western Corn Belt, we're looking at midday temperatures only in the 20s, while over the east, it's going to be still in the 50s, mid to even upper 50s. So when we have that really tight gradient, oftentimes the areas of low pressure move right along that gradient here, and this is that cold air. And by Wednesday, what you see here is, yes, indeed, another little impulse of energy pushes out, and here we get another area of snow. And this looks like it could be fairly significant as far as the amounts on Wednesday. The first one on Sunday, not so much so, but the midweek event looks like it could be a heavier snowfall. Not necessarily a widespread snowfall, but in the axis that snow does fall, it could be fairly heavy. Now temperatures this week are going to still be very mild out ahead of that system, so Central and Eastern Corn Belt, especially, this is days 1 through 5. Early on, before that second system moves through, quite mild. Temperatures actually near record setting early this weekend in some areas. So as far as precipitation goes, both these areas of low pressure coming out of the southwest U.S. are going to affect the central part of the Corn Belt, right through this axis right here. Now over the eastern Corn Belt, not as much. And then the far upper Midwest, not quite as much. But right through the central part, quite a bit of rain and the possibility of heavier snow as well. So you might say, how much snow? Well, here we go. This is the next 7 days. It's sort of a combined between these two, but it does show that, especially in the second one here, we're getting some of these brighter colors here, and that's over 6 inches of snow. So it's a ways off. This will change the forecast a bit, but it does look like right in a very narrow band here with that second system on the northwest side of the track of the low pressure, the possibility of very heavy snow. So the precipitation anomalies this week, areas in green and blue are expected to get more precipitation than normal. So from a soil moisture recharge, I think a good way to look at this is a significant recharge of soil moisture over parts of southeast Nebraska, large parts of Iowa, parts of southern Minnesota, as well as most of Wisconsin. But not much soil moisture recharge over the eastern Corn Belt at all. Matter of fact, you see that area of yellow, and that's saying that it's actually going to dry out as far as upper soil moisture. Now let's look out a little bit further out as we get closer to Christmas, December 17th through 22nd. Look at this, not much shading. That is saying that the atmosphere is going to settle back down towards normal. So this strong anomaly of milder weather is most likely going to settle back. But I don't see any blue, and that means that temperatures are going to most likely still remain a bit above normal. So we're going to start out with a strong warm anomaly, then we're going to settle back down either a little bit above or a little bit below. And you know what? That's been the story that we've seen so far. We've sort of gone back to this a little bit above, a little bit below, and then we've gone back into a more significantly above normal as far as temperatures, especially over the central and eastern Corn Belt. So when we get actually averaging right around Christmas time, look at this again. Here's that pattern again. Blue in the west, brown or reddish colors in the east. And what do you know by now? Well, here we go again. Towards Christmas, here's this pattern again. Far western Corn Belt, a little bit cooler than normal, but this pattern of the central and east, especially the east, warmer weather returns. So right now, what I'm going to be looking at this week and hopefully get out some information is I really have been studying this and trying to determine how long this will last, this type of pattern, because it's been pretty persistent so far. And right now it does look like it's going to continue through the rest of December. Now remember, early in December I put that out. I said I expected this to last. I'm going to be looking at January now and seeing how far this might last into the month of January. Precipitation week 2, here we go. It looks like it could be a bit wetter over the central Corn Belt again, maybe the east. But you know what? Again, with that sort of dip out in the west, that could bring us some precipitation, most likely rain and not snow. So here are your takeaway points. 2 weather systems this week, rain early, then some snow, mild start, near record temperatures very early, then turning a bit colder, but still the trend is towards milder weather. Now, with a lot of rain and snow, be sure you track it on your interactive radar. It's the agweatheradvisor.com radar/radar, and it's really an excellent tracking tool for the ag community, and it's sponsored by the NCGA FMC. So take a look at that. It's something I use when I track rain and snow across the area. If you have any questions at all, there's my email, john@bluewateroutlook.com. Have a great week, and I will be talking to you again next weekend.